Jennifer pulled out a Chabad of Riverdale yearbook from the dinner from like 2004 when you were at the Chabad of Co-op City. And there's actually a picture of you and your wife, Devorah, later. Yeah.
Oh, wow.
From the dinner, I think from 2004.
I remember there was one dinner. It was such, wow.
Yeah.
I remember that one dinner was really nice.
Yeah.
It was such a snow that day.
Wow.
Okay, let me see.
What? Yeah. Hey, if you want, I can switch. You good? Okay. Of course. Yeah. Well, can you pass me a cup? Thank you so much.
What a whole place I'm coming.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You could see. Okay. It's true, not it's true.
Why do you need me to read it? You pass it around. Look, it's
Can you pass me the water? Thank you so much.
Which one?
Very nice.
This is it.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
Wow.
wow.
Got such a fancy cake. Kethivat Adar and the Farbrengen. So let's make l'chaim.
Yeah.
Let's start making l'chaim.
First my birthday. First my two birthdays.
Happy birthday and mazel tov on your
That's
birthday.
how they're showing.
Yeah.
So that's a goal.
Yeah.
It's Paris's birthday this week.
Generally, they celebrate in Adar.
Yeah, I know.
Both?
I also saw the picture of the reading the Torah, the Balkira. They're all standing around the bima with dancing on the wall.
So we should have birthday cake for both.
Yeah. Got the knife, and it says over there in the bottom, try to fix the Balkira. Remember this? Where was it?
Oh, wow. Beautiful.
Adam, yeah, again.
Yeah, wow.
L'chaim, both.
L'chaim. Wow, beautiful. Yeah.
That's good for advertisement.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehakol niyeh b'dvorim.
Amen.
L'chaim. Huh?
Then we have to make the expose or not?
Die kun je verbrengen, het maken l'chaim, is nog gefährlich. It's more choshev to you. If it's all equal, you have to make mazonos first. Okay.
Amen.
Well, the famous Vata Tetzaveh.
This is not Vata Tetzaveh.
No, I'm saying we
Oh,
have to do
yeah.
the famous Vata Tetzaveh. Are we there? Seagull and language for come out to the
Yeah, very nice. Take a big knife. Bring that.
Name is not there.
Yeah, thank you so much, son. Thank you.
That ta is whole essence of thinking that
His name is not there because it's
Yeah.
so crazy.
I think it's the honor of the Frierdiker Rebbe coming to America. Yeah.
Well, let me. Okay. Hayam Kotza Malachim Merubah. He said we're going to learn this special mamar. This was a mamar that
One of the four.
this is one of the four mamarim. This mamar, the Rebbe was in the morning. He was going to the Tzina Kodesh's father-in-law, and the Rebbe opened the door and he told Rabbi Groner that tonight we're giving this out. That means that he had a date to print it. And the Rebbe said also I want to give it out with like I mentioned yesterday. If you go, I went to Kohos. I only made the copies. They keep on reprinting it. The problem is that people buy it so fast that it's out of print right now. In general, one of the best kept secrets in Kohos, when the Rebbe gave out something, they would print an enormous amount. It was only once or twice they didn't have enough. So they printed, say the Rebbe gave out 5 copies, but he would ask that they should print 10 copies. Most of the things the Rebbe gave out, at the Yom you could buy it. I bought 10 copies. They have a box, all the Svarim that the Rebbe gave out. So I want for my children. So I bought 10 of them. Adar Yom you could buy. Most of the ones in that box are the original print that the Rebbe asked. The Rebbe asked they should print 12,000. The Lapoili only gave out 5,000. So 6,000 copies are still sitting in the in the basement of Kahos.
The rabbi still be alive.
So Bamela, but this happens to be they ran out from the original print, but they keep on reprinting it. Okay, so that's that. I mentioned it was Ashkocha Protis, the Kfar Chabad magazine. This is Chodesh Shvat. It was just a couple of weeks ago. So they have the shtick in Chabad, when they have a wedding or something, because the Rebbe, his father-in-law, by his wedding, gave out a Torah, which was a gift everyone gave to the wedding, was a Ksav Yad that was from the Baal Shem Tov, a copy, and the other side was a copy if it's a letter from the Alter Rebbe, like that. Everyone got a copy, like something unique, a souvenir. So today in Chabad weddings, the shtick, I don't, whatever. I'm saying shtick because sometimes, everything in a wedding is so difficult. It's already hard enough to deal with the caterer and with the, whatever you need to deal with. Listen, those that have koyach to do it is gesundheit. You also have to have your hands on kisvei yad. I mean, who has his hands on kisvei yad? But if you have gesundheit, like I said, Shabbos, there is the world in Chabad. There's one person that is known to have a copy of every Torah. Dave's older brother.
Yeah.
He has a copy of every Torah. Anyway, someone just recently saw a letter. He found a letter from Rabbi Label Groner. A letter from Rabbi Label Groner to Rabbi Slonim. Apparently, the Rebbe asked that he should write him a letter that they should make an extra minyan. They should make an extra minyan in the Chabad shul in Yerushalayim. I was once Tzaddik shul. I was going. I love to daven the Vasikin minyan at the Koisel. It's so beautiful. The Vasikin.
It's a totally different meaning.
Yeah. Well, Yisrael, it's quiet. And then you see it's unbelievable. It's so I was running and they needed a 10th for a minyan. And so what could you say? Yeah, whatever, need a 10th for a minyan. They don't need me at the Koisel. So I davened, and the funny at the end of the davening, there's a guy goes around that gives a newspaper to everyone. That's the minhag. So they said they want to reward me because they knew they really wanted to go to the Koisel. So we want to tell you a story that they live in the old city, and they were chayalim that were originally came into Yerushalayim, and they were looking. There was no shul. The first shul that they were able to was the Tzemach Tzedek shul. Baruch Hashem, now you have to all the shuls are there, but this is years later. This was the only shul that was not destroyed by the Jordanians. The original plaques are up there. From the wasn't destroyed. It was sure was destroyed.
It was there.
It was actually destroyed. But this was a shul, so they wanted to daven. But the Lubavitchers, the Rebbe wanted that the day they conquer Yerushalayim, they should start davening. So the Lubavitchers that were there, they didn't live in the Alter. They lived in Meir Shorim. So there's still the Gabbai, what's it called? He walks in from Meir Shorim. So they didn't want to bother. The shul was locked all week. So these guys said, we wrote a letter to the Rebbe asking him that we're living here and we want the shul. And you know what? A few days later, Gabbai called us and he gave us the code or the lock. And ma'oz v'adayoyim, it's our minyan. We have a minyan. And I guess not the most popular. They seem like they're like all chevra. It's in the mamish in the center. If you're going down in the Rova, if you're coming down, like you go in from
by the circle,
make a left.
I do the same.
You're going down the steps. What's called a corridor. It's one space that's in the middle that's very open. So there's steps that you go down. It's on your left side. That's a house that's 3-4 floors, and it's connected to the steps. So you're going down the steps where's the corridor, and that's the Tzemach Tzedek shul. Interesting. So here
there's a toilet there now every day.
yeah, now there's a Choshen Koilel there. But anyway, they have this minyan. So interesting. This letter, it says, I want to remind you that there should be a minyan noisef. I don't know if this is that minyan. B'shem Kvei Kedushas Admor. Anyway, so he's writing a letter. Until he gives him the instructions from the Rebbe, he says, whatever. There was instructions from the Rebbe on some issues. Etmal hoya hisvadus umgerichte. You know, Leibel Groner is not a big Hebrew guy, so he only wants to say, he says in Yiddish. Etmal hoya hisvadus umgerichte heit. Bilti tzafuya. ובשיח השנייה דיבר על דבר שישה בעדה, שיש להם הסוברים, דיוס שמוישה נסתלק בזין, עדה ביום שבס קודש, was lo yochel saim ksiv sefer Torah sheksiv b'Shabbos asura lozel lo daitem sim ksiv sefer Torah. And the Moshe Rabbeinu hoya b'yom ver Shabbos shisha ba'ada. Al der shoya sim sefer Torah erev Yud Shvat shechol b'yom Shabbos v'sim hoya b'yom shalafon of erev Shabbos. Asher ksiv sefer Torah ze huskal yedei nasi dereinu kvet kedushas admoyer schus yogen aleinu. Al der sefer Torah rishon hoya yedei nasi rishon shemoish Rabbeinu b'koicha shel nasi dereinu. Sim Nikra Sim Sefer Torah Lakabel Pnei Mashiach Torah. Venture, we're talking about the Sefer Torah, the Sefer Torah Gemach. V'Rachmonas, you hear? Venture, we're talking now to you. Venture, you hear?
Yeah.
So V'Rachmonas Gedoyla Al Kol Eila Sheinam Roitzim Lishtatev B'Ksiva Sefer Torah Zeh. Therein Lefi Divri Hanosi Hoya B'Yodei Lichte V'Lesayim Sefer Torah B'Atzmai. He could have done the whole Sefer Torah himself. But he wanted to give every Yid the opportunity to be part of the Mishkan. You think the Eibishter couldn't have done it without me and you? The Eibishter was there. Again, Rabbi, you have to forgive Rabbi Groner for his Hebrew. Oy v'ovel aleim. He probably meant oy v'avoy. Oy v'avoy lahem she'enem roitzen. Aval be'emes, asher anosi u'toiv ayin hu yevorech, zika oisim gamkem b'al korcha. B'schush shel sefer Torah zeh. Al derech shem, and then he wrote another thing. V'oy d'omar, Adar shematzinu aloche kerav bisura v'aloche kishmul b'mamoyna. V'nispar atam barosh iker rav iker limude bisura v'shmul iker limude b'mamoyna. L'zafa b'shegam l'rav yidir gedoy l'vamuka b'mamoyna v'chein l'shmul yidir gedoy l'vamuka bisura. Kim shega et sheikri sharav bisura aloche kemoyse l'gab shmul. V'chein la'ech b'mamoyna. So he said, why is the halacha like Rav bisura and shmul b'mamoyna? Because Rav was an expert in these halachas. So the Rebbe said there were people that were making a big issue. Oh, Lubavitch is saying they're making a Sefer Torah, greeting Mashiach. You can imagine. So the Rebbe said, my father-in-law, if you didn't think he was the biggest Rosh Hashiva, I'm not going to argue with you. But one thing I can tell you for sure, on the inyan of bringing Mashiach, on spiritual matters like this, he was an absolute expert. Oh yeah. 1 second, let me just finish reading. Mamash a second. She's saying, Valderich zeh, the kimish eilu, eilam yedia binyanim eilu shel Mashiach. Afal pisha gam heim omer b'chol yom animam and sheyava b'chol yom. Aval enim choshim shekavon aleim v'zahavam v'kaspim v'chol hashelahem. V'lazeh afal pisha gedoylem heim b'meseches achedes. Aval b'meseches v'inyan zeh. So the halach is like my father-in-law. Oyu b'zeh oy dvorim charifim v'chulu v'dal. Im Efshiri Avak Shel Haris Ketazel Yedida Reptuv Yebloy Verabchanoy Klitzenstein. Vasher Akavel Zhin Laskin Oida Tam Aderech the other minion in the Tzemach Tzedek Shuk Vishamrli B'Shem Kvek Kedushas Admar Shlita. Anyway, so this is an interesting thing that was just a letter from Rabbi Groner about that Farbrengen, where the Rebbe spoke about the Moshiach Sefer Torah. Anyway, bottom line is that I'm just going to recap the thing. Someone that might have not been here when we started talking about this.
You know that in Hebron they have also Tzemach Tzedek Shul.
Yeah, they have.
It's an old one.
That's a
It
different.
took us a tour there. And
Yeah. The story was that in 1942, the Frierdiker Rebbe said that he decided to write a Sefer Torah. With this Sefer Torah, we're going to greet Mashiach. The Rebbe said that his father-in-law really didn't just mean that we're writing a Sefer Torah. He saw a case. He saw that he's going to Rahman al-Islam finish the suffering of the Jews and bring Mashiach. They started writing it, and it was very, very difficult. He wanted dafka should be from Oida Shchutim, it should be from kosher animals, and that to be shechted. The problem was at that time it was World War II, and leather was it was necessary for the war. So Mamela was Baklal was very difficult, but Lepoil they did what the Frierdiker Rebbe wanted, and they got everything they wanted, and they started writing the Sefer Torah, and everything was nice. And one day the Frierdiker Rebbe said, "Stop." And they understood that Rahman al-Islam, that the Frierdiker Rebbe had a thought that he's going to break through this golus, and it is what it is. Close to 30 years later, before this yahrzeit of his father-in-law, Yud Shvat, 20 years after his Istalkus, the Rebbe said that we're finishing the Sefer Torah. The Frierdiker Rebbe's yahrzeit was like this year was on Shabbos and Yud Shvat, and the Rebbe made the same Sefer Torah on Friday after Chatzos.
Winter Friday.
It was Winter Friday, yeah. And by the way, as I mentioned at the beginning of the year, Chabad used to not have the custom of having a crown on the Sefer Torah. Many communities did have the minute. Why Chabad did not? I don't know. Maybe they were poor, and the shtetl didn't have money, or whatever. But that was that Sefer Torah. The Rebbe called the Sidney Hecht, and he asked him to bring him all the crowns that he had in the store. And the Rebbe picked one crown that he liked. And the Rebbe came down with a box, and no one knew what was in the box. The Rebbe's walking down with a box, and the Rebbe took out the kesed and he put it on the Sefer Torah, and from then it became a Chabad minik to have a kesed on the Sefer Torah. Okay, Agavor.
Oh, that's the minimum.
It was actually a few stories and the Rebbe took the head of one kesser.
Ayan was marked to the other one.
One kesser.
I'll tell you what, I called Mr. Heck and I asked him if he could tell me the story. He told me he's too busy. So shine.
Frierdiker Rebbe never gave an explanation why he stopped it.
No one ever asked him.
No.
It wasn't shaykh to ask
Right.
that question.
Sure.
He said to stop, and they stopped it.
Even the Rebbe, all of a sudden, just said stop.
Hmm?
There was no achon before.
No, but I asked his son. Sidney passed away a few years ago. But I asked his, I called him 2 weeks ago. That Ben gave me his number. Whatever. Okay, shine.
I spoke to him.
Yeah.
We used to buy a slogan from him.
You buy a song. Okay. Love in Kesiv Sefer Torah. Mashkos of Rambam Shmitza say Kol Ishveish Misor Lichta Sefer Torah La'atzmai. There's a mitzvah every Jew should write a Sefer Torah. Shnei Ma'ata Kisel Cham Sashir Azes. V'Melech Mitzvah Lichta Sefer Torah Echad La'atzmai L'Shem HaMelech Yosel Sefer Shir L'Kshei Shnei Ma'avoy Keshivta Al Sefer Kisem HaMlachta L'Kos V'Loi. Oh, by the way, who doesn't have it?
Me.
Here, you have, because
You have one?
I have
You have the original.
I have the original one. Yeah.
The best.
I got very good. Love it. Kesiv Sefer Torah. Mashkos of Rambam Shmitza say Kol Ishveish Misor Lichta Sefer Torah La'atzmai. Shnei Ma'ata Kisel Cham Sashir. Melech mitzvah lichta Sefer Torah echad la'atzmai l'shem HaMelech Yosel Sefer Shir L'Kshei Hadid. Shnei Ma'avoy Keshivta Al Kisem HaMlachta L'Kos V'Loi Mishnah Torah Zois Voisim of Korah Bet L'Nei Chayim. So there's a mitzvah that a person should write himself a Sefer Torah, and if you're a king, has to write 2 Sefer Torah. Truth is, there's a whole discussion about today. How come most people don't do it? There is, and we spoke about
By a letter.
so we spoke about it. There's a Shagasari about this. The truth is, a person could own a Sefer Torah, then it's kedai to own a Sefer Torah. A melech.
Benzi, how you do it?
No.
Benzi, how you do it?
Sefer Torah comes in.
Yeah. The thing is, the trick is not to give it. You can't give it away. If you give it away, then you don't have the Sefer Torah anymore. You have to buy a Sefer Torah and then own it and then give it out on loan. You can do it through Benchi. That's the best way to do it. It's mamish the best way. I highly recommend it. And then you have a double mitzvah. So a melech has 2 Sefer Torah and a hedit has 1 Sefer Torah. Rishon shekosel Sefer Torah hoyez Moshe Rabbeinu sh'rayim hem shekol Yisrael v'spishtus l'Moshe Chavdara. Asai Moshe berev Shabbos k'mavur b'kama mekaymes. That Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the Sefer Torah. The first was written by Moshe Rabbeinu. We spoke about this when we spoke. By the way, here look out at 10. Kepetiris Moshe Rabbeinu b'Shiva ba'Adar, which hoisted by Minchas Shabbos. As I mentioned, in the Shulchan Aruch, it says that the minig Ashkenazim is to fast on Zayin Adar, and the minig is to Zayin Adarisha, which would have been this Friday. Huh? No, it's not a separate thing. And that is on Zayin Adar.
By the way, my mother's Hebrew birthday is on Zion Hadar.
Yeah, beautiful day.
Yeah.
Kepetiris Moshe b'Zayin Adar b'Minchas Shabbos. And the word in Torah, Rechaim Semeresh Tzadik Beis B'Shem B'Rebsar Shalom Goin. That he said, and Shulchan Aruch Admar Zaken brings that thing. He said that why do we say B'Shabbos Milchitz Tkos Chatzadik? Because the three big tzaddikim that passed away, Miyad, Moshe, Yosef, and David, they passed away, and that's why we say it's Tkos Chatzadik. V'apizeh Tzarich Lama Shesayim Ksiv Sefer Torah Be'erev Shabbos Vov Adar. That's what Tosfos says in Manochis Daf Lamed Aleph Daf Lamed Amud Aleph. Nizbor Baruch B'Sichas Shabbos Parshas Pikudei Vov Adar Sheni Tov Shen Lamed. I mentioned it already by I just one Nekuda that I missed out. I mentioned it by Shalafudus 2 weeks ago. That the Rebbe brings there. The Tosfos asks, if you look at the whole Parshas Vayelech, it sounds like everything happened in one day. He says Ayoim Molush Yomush Noisei. So that's the day he passed away. So Rashi says it's the day he passed away. And in the Hemshech Parsha, it says that that's the day David told him to write, and that's the way he wrote the Kisacham Shir Azois, and he wrote the Sefer Torah, and he gave it to the Levim. He said, Sefer Torah, Hashem. And it happened all, it sounds like the whole Parshas Vayelech happened in one day. So Tosfos says, hey, wait a minute, it doesn't make sense. He wrote a Sefer Torah on the day he passed away. When did he pass away? According to Reb Shalom Sargon, was on Shabbos. That's why we say Tzid Koschel. So how can he write on Shabbos? So one teretz he gives Taka that Reb Shalom Sargon was wrong. And he brings Rayas. Tosfos says that really Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on Erev Shabbos, and Zayin Adar was an Erev Shabbos. But still, most opinions hold that it's not that way. That was on Shabbos, because that's the way the Alter Rebbe says. The Alter Rebbe says the reason we say it's at Kos Chatzedek on Shabbos because Moshe Rabbeinu passed away on Shabbos. So if he passed away on Shabbos, you must say that he wrote the Torah on Erev Shabbos. Now, I mentioned on Shabbos that there's a Tshuva D'Chasam Sefer. He asks this question. He says, no, maybe Moshe Rabbeinu wrote it on Shabbos. How could you write on Shabbos? So he said he heard a teretz from the Shalach Kodesh. It was Hashbos HaKulmus. He told the pen to go itself.
Yeah.
Can you do it? Hashbos HaKulmus. Yeah, it's better than chat. Artificial intelligence. Yeah. So the Rebbe, as I mentioned, why the Rebbe didn't like the teretz, but I forgot the main nekuda. One thing the Rebbe said, it doesn't make sense. Moshiach. If Hashbos HaKulmus is considered as if he did not do it, he didn't write the Sefer Torah. They said he has to write. If you're going to say that it is considered he wrote it, like Mechamer Acha Behemta, Shabbos. What is he doing? He's walking next to his Chamor, and he tells the Chamor, Johnny, keep on going. And so that's called Osar and Shabbos, even though what am I doing? So I'm speaking, and the Chamor is walking because of my speaking. If Moshe Rabbeinu could speak, and his pen moves because he's speaking, so Moshiach, if it is not considered he's doing it, like you just said, and if he is doing it, it's also. And the other thing that Rebbe said, I understand the whole idea that Tzemach Tzedek brings from Ashayla, that the Eibishter, the Eibishter rested from speaking. The Eibishter spoke, and the Eibishter spoke and created the world through Asar Maimonos, and he rested in Shabbos. So why is it the Rabbanon said v'daber dover? Dibur osar machshava muter. According to the Torah, you're allowed to talk Shabbos any business you like. You're allowed to talk Shabbos. The Rabbanon said it's also. So they found an asmacht v'daber dover, but it's really with the Rabbanon. So the Tzemach Tzedek says because the Eibishter when he talks, hu amar vayehu. When the Eibishter talks, it happens. The Eibishter says vayiyor. Hachar it's desha. All of a sudden there's desha. But me and you say things. We could say things 100 times. Nothing's going to happen when me and you say things.
Yeah.
So therefore, by the Eibishter, Dibur shel HaKadosh Baruch Hu Choshev Ma'aseh. So when Eibishter needs to rest, he has to rest from Dibur. But me and you have to rest from Ma'aseh. But at Tzaddik, which is doing Malaboido, that he's talking like the Eibishter, when he talks, the Kumul starts to walk. So he should rest also from Dibur. And so the main problem that the Rebbe had with the Teretz Achsam Sofer gives was that the Alter Rebbe said that the mitzvahs must be done b'teva. There's a few stories that the Alter Rebbe himself, one of that has to be done b'teva. Like the story with that's the first teretz, the first kasha. Right, that was his first kasha. Exactly, the whole thing of Chassidus is that has to be done b'teva, and this is the story that the Rebbe used to love to tell about the Alter Rebbe, that the Alter Rebbe wanted to do Kiddush Lavona and the boat. So Dafke wanted, so he asked that they should stop the boat, and he wants to say Kiddush Lavona because it should be Ba'amida. And look over the Eivish, should be Ba'amida. And if you're in the boat, it's a Shaila. If it's considered Amida, not considered Amida. You didn't want to have any Shailas. You asked him, could you please stop the boat? The guy said, I'm not stopping the boat. So the Alter Rebbe said, if you're not going to stop it, I'm going to show you that you're not going to be able to move the boat. And the Alter Rebbe made that the boat shouldn't move. There was nothing they could do. They could not move the boat.
Wow.
So the Alter Rebbe said, I will let you move the boat. And once I let you move the boat, I'm going to ask you again, do me a favor and stop the boat for a few minutes. I can do Kiddush Lavona. So the guy said, would you give me a blessing for it? And the Alter Rebbe said, yes. Would you give it to me in writing? The Alter Rebbe said, yes. And the story was that the Alter Rebbe gave him this thing in writing, and the Frierdiker Rebbe years later, from a descendant of this guy, he showed him that he had this broch that the Alter Rebbe wrote to his. So the Rebbe said, that like if the Alter Rebbe knows how to stop a boat, stop the boat. So why do you have to ask this guy, please stop the boat? And he doesn't want to stop, and you stop it. And then you say, I'm gonna let the boat go, but next time I ask you, stop it. So the Alter Rebbe wanted that the mitzvah that he does should be ba'amida piteva. If he made a nest and the boat is stuck and can't move, so he's amida shaloya piteva. So he wanted it should be a piteva, but he had no choice. He saw this guy is not listening, so therefore he showed him that listen, I'm going to say Kiddush Lavona anyway. So, but he wanted to make it a piteva as much as possible, to say that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote the first Sefer Torah, that the Eibishter said, Kisru Lachem, and he said to the Levim, L'koyach Sefer Torah, v'samtem b'tzad aroin b'ris Hashem. And to say that Sefer Torah, the first Sefer Torah that the Yidden had, was not written by Moshe Rabbeinu, was written by Shboas HaKumus. It's not mistaber. Makes more sense to say, even though it's a doichik. By the way, I love this word. And it's Daka from Chassam Sefer. Chassam Sefer said, Deroiv doichik and emes. A lot of times when you learn a sugya, and there's a kasha, and there's sometimes bonanza teretz. And the Chassam Sefer said, and sometimes you hear a teretz, it's a doich. It doesn't sit so well. So doich, a lot of times the doich, roiv doich and emes. That teretz is taka not so bonanza, but it's emes. So here the Rebbe likes the teretz, even though it's a doichik. You have to say in Parshas Vayelech happened in 2 different days, but it sounds like it all happened in one day. But there's 2 days. Moshe Rabbeinu passed away in Shabbos, and that's why we say Tzedkos Chatzedek on Shabbos. And he wrote the Sefer Torah on Erev Shabbos.
We know that it's from the bunch of that.
Yeah, but when you read just the Parshas Vayelech, it sounds like everything happened in one day.
Right,
Because it's Vayelech Moshe Vayomer. So you could answer that. You could take an answer. You could answer that. But it seems like the Mefarshim are not so comfortable with answering that. Yeah, you could say, if the Eibishter said, again, but you could also say that Parsha Vayelech happened in 2 days, and the Hayom is not in 1 day. You could answer that. You could take an answer that.
Anyone know where this Sefer Torah that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote down?
We don't know. It can't be that we know, because we see, for example, that the Rambam writes that his Sefer Torah that he's written, the Chosav Yasa, he says his Sefer Torah is very meduyak, because it was there was a big Rosh Yeshiva in Tveria, the Ben Osher Sefer Torah that was in Egypt, And he says that I was Magia my Sefer Torah from the Ben Osher Sefer Torah. Obviously, so that was the most authentic Sefer Torah that the Rambam could find, was that Ben Osher. Ben Osher was a big Rosh Yeshiva in the Shivas Tveria, which they were big in Chachmei Adiktuk. And the Rambam says that my Sefer Torah was Nivdak Alpi, the Sefer Torah from Ben Osher, which the whole Shaila. When did Ben Osher live? The Rosh Yeshiva. So yes, it's only 1,200 years ago, 1,300 years ago.
The Rambam was 900.
So I think that he was Magia from the Sefer of Ezra.
That's why it's so precise.
Obviously, we don't have Moshe Rabbeinu Sefer Torah. So Pashtus Moshe Rabbeinu Sefer Torah, Ezra probably saw some Sefer Torah that was, and Ben Osher that's from Ezra, and we have it from the Rambam. Okay. Huh?
What kind of Ksav?
What kind of Ksav is the best? It's a good question. It's a good question. I don't know. It's a good question.
The Rambam was Faradi, Ben Asher was Faradi, Moshe Rabbeinu was Moshe Rabbeinu, not Rabinowitz.
Yeah, exactly. הנה, כויסף בזה, כבוד קדושה זה אדמו"ר הצמח צדק, שנקציר בספר תורה, יוגם על פי מה שמבאר, כבוד קדושה זה אדמו"ר הזו, כבין ויכת משה כדלקמן, הנה כסיב, אויז בייס, הנה כסיב אלה מעשה בני ישראל, אשר יוצא מארץ מצרים.
Took to the telephone and it's writing what you sent.
Yeah, שבוע סקלמוס.
It makes
A little bit of שבוע סקלמוס. והנה כסיב אלה מעשה בני ישראל, אשר יוצא מארץ מצרים, ודאי, כבוד קדושה זה אדמו"ר הזו, כמדרוש אלה מעשה. בסדר, לא, אבל לא שני אלה מעשה, שלא שון רבים. Masayim asher yotzu meretz Mitzrayim, v'rei meretz Mitzrayim, v'rak Messiah Rishona asher yotzu meramseis l'sukkos. Now the Rebbe says, what is Masay? Plural. They didn't have. There was one Masa that was out of Mitzrayim. There was an Ramses. Sounds like a Egyptian name, Ramesses. And from there they went to Sukkos. Sukkos sounds like a pretty Jewish name. They went from Ramses to Sukkos. The Ramses was the last station in Mitzrayim. And Sukkos was the first station that was outside of Mitzrayim, and there was a place that the Jews called Sukkos. So L'chayre was one Masay, not many Masos. Mavar bazesh kol amen beis Masos atchani osam meiver leyard nirei cheberetz hakodesh tebona v'tekonu v'meiri v'meiri de Moshiach tzedkeinu hakol nikra v'shem sheyotzim eretz Mitzrayim. That we're still going out of Mitzrayim. When the idea of going out of Mitzrayim is not only the first step from Ramses to Sukkos. Until they get Al Yard and Yerechai, all the 42 Masos, it's all considered going out of Mitzrayim. And on a larger scale, until Moshiach comes, all our travelings, you can go to Spain, and from Spain they went to Algeria, and from Algeria they went to Poland, and from Poland they went to Poltava, and from Poltava they came to New York, and from New York they came to Brooklyn. So this is all part of the Masos. And we keep on traveling until we're coming to Moshiach Tzidkeinu. Bedank bezek moit kedusha zat moit azok and tzarech lov and loma ja bevicht Moshe ik de moit zein lama sein bevicht Moshe es moit zein lama sein achach hippe gesede mamar ve ele ma sein lama zein. Funny shaila, not funny. It's the pasuk says when Moshe Rabbeinu recounts the Masos, it says vayichtav Moshe es moit zein lama sein. Moit zein means Yetzias Mitzrayim. Moit zein lama sein. The Yetzias Mitzrayim as they traveled it. But first, the pasuk says "V'yichtav Moshe es moitzeim l'maseim," and afterwards it says "Ve'ela maseim l'moitzeim." Why is the pasuk mahap to say that? The answer that Rebbe is going to give is like this: Moitze doesn't only mean Yetzias Mitzrayim. Moitze means the source. Motza moitze. It's like the Gemara says, "B'marava omri motza moitze." If a guy found a good wife or not such a good wife. Motza means he found a good wife. They used to say Motza Moitza. Marava Amri, Motza Moitza. If they wanted to know if the guy got a good shidduch or it was, they say Motza. Why Motza Moitza? Motza Isha Motza Toiv. Moitza is Moitza Nisa Isha Mar Mimovis.
לא מצא עוד יותר.
No, זה Amri. Motza or Moitza. Loshen Akia. They would say this shidduch. They would want to say is a lousy marriage. Is he abusive husband? Wir redt nicht das Sache wette. Jeden reden nicht das Sache wette. Wir redt edel. They would say matzah or moitza. What kind of shidduch is this? Matzah means matzah isha matzah toy. Moitza is moitza sanisha isha mar mimavis. Anyway, here it says that Moshe Rabbeinu wrote moitzeim lamaseim. Moitza means the source of where everything comes from. We learn soon inside of Tzadiyu Kapi. Moitza is where everything comes from. Neshama gets a special koyach from Moshe Rabbeinu to travel in life. First is Vayichtav Moshe's moitzeim, the source of the neshama, and he gives Vayichtav Moshe. Moshe gives a koyach through his ksiva to every Jew, l'masayim, to travel in life. At the end of the traveling is what's the purpose is that eila masayim l'moitzayim, that the masavayid, the traveling, the 42 stations in life, is that eventually a yid goes up to highest place that's possible. The yirida was worth it because of the aliyah that he'll have later. Mamar, but the Vayichtav Moshe, the mime is going to be that the whole idea mitzvah of Sefer Torah is that we bring in kedusha into the lowest place. You take a piece of leather from a cow, and you take ink that's made out of berries, and you take a feather from a chicken, and you bring in kedusha. That the Yid has the obligation, the Moshe Rabbeinu was the first one to write a Sefer Torah, but every Yid is obligated to write a Sefer Torah, is to bring down to Kedusha in the lowest place. I'm sorry, Medaik was a Kavod Kedusha said, Meretz Zoken, the Tzorach Lama Lama Gabe V'yich Moshe Ik the Metzem Masem. Kachipach Hazeh V'amei L'masem L'etzem. Mavar, Api Yedua, Tartz Kavan Yiditz Shema Maguf, Shenashama Yorda Merigere Rama Lebeir Amikta, Shini Mitzrayim Doi Lama Kapona Mitzrayim Kedusha Tzorach Liyav Aliyah למדרגה שלו מעלה מקום מן היורדה כלבור בכמה מקיימס. שדווקא בזה מובן למה יש ירידה, כדי ירידה מגס למדרגה שלו מעלה ממקום ירידוסה. It was, if I came here, I went down and went back here. What did I do 120 years? I was here, came down in the world, I plugged away for 120 years, go back, come to the same place. It makes sense, not fear. Muslims sagen, the neshama is here, it goes down, it goes all the way much bigger than before. So the word ksiva means hamshacha. והמשך בחינס מויצאים מוקר נשום ישראל למעשיהם בחינס הנשום ולבש בגובה זה ואומר בזה מויצאים ולא יציאסה שעניינו הוא כמי מויצה מים the source of everything שהעניין שנמשך ממנו כאילו בדרך ממילא. Maybe if we had a chance we'll learn order 23 in a minute to see the diuk over here. כמויצאים הוא דרגה כזו שאין שייך עליה לא אומר עליה שממנה נשפע איזה עניין ונעשה בשינה כי אם המויצה בדרך ממילא. It's such a high source, he's not busy producing. It's kilo, the Ari says like the difference of who kutsiva v'nivro. Sometimes it says boide, and sometimes we say tsiva v'nivro kilo mamela. That the Eibush himself, it's as if the whole everything is happening on its own. Kutsiva v'nivro. It's like so. The neshama comes from a darge which is moitziyim kilo. It's all happening on its own. That the pasuk says, "Ani Hashem lo yishanisi." He doesn't get busy. He doesn't get occupied. B'derech memela, m'komo k'masham nimshach inyan lamata k'mashkosav yipa b'apav nishmas chayim adanafach matech nafach matechayis v'ktem yusuf. But this neshama from the moitza comes into the gur world. B'zei d'mizud v'inyan v'yichtav Moshe g'nichlo gam inyan achasim v'kedisa b'gemora. Perush v'kosav lo sefer krisus shel daser mei shenikra shem akem shomer enechem balocha v'kosav pirush v'chosam that lagabe the get so v'kosav lo means v'chosam lo aynu shemoisha pol yinaksi v'vachsim medin de bechinas moitzeim l'masayim v'idei ze hoyev shel isachikach v'hoyev b'poel v'elam masayim l'masayim aliyah memata l'maylam. The bottom line is that first Moshe vayichtav Moshe gives a koyach to the Jew to bring the moitza, the where it says the source of the neshama to his journeys, the 42 journeys of life. Moitza is the source. Yeah, Melosha Metzia. Yeah, also Gagati Matzosi, which again, also the idea of Gagati Metzia is Shaloi Lefi Erech HaYagia. If you earned $100 because you know that, but if you found it, it's Shaloi Lefi Erech. It's a Metzia. Right. Let's say, Amish, I got the Metzi.
Yeah, no, it's like
it's unbelievable. Yeah, so the neshama comes from Moitze, and then it goes the members masoas and life, but then it bounces back to a higher place in the Moitze. Okay, pure Inyan. Vashkosa betikunim kemavur b'drushmanal dini isa bezoyer tetikun ashviye shebiyud gimel tikun ediknu tikin ve'emes. Shav shekol yud gimel tikun ediknu shachim b'mal maseder shtal shtun gamre shlchen yud gimel mitzerachim metakin kolab gomim. Before we read inside, I just want to explain. We spoke about the beard being the Yud Bimel Tikkun Dikna. But apparently, it's a very interesting thing that there's 13 Tikkunim. There's a shaila which one. So say we're going to go with this shita: Hashem, Heel, Rachum, Bechanun, Erech Apayim, V'Rav Chesed. There's other shittas, but either way, whatever your shitta is, the Zohar says Tikkun Shvi is V'Emes. V'Emes is Tikkun Shvi. When we say Yudimel Tidun Dikna, we're talking about the Eibish's face. It not only includes the beard, but also includes Kilu, the face. And Api Kabbalah, V'Emes is the face itself. The emes is the face itself. What's the difference between the hair and the face? The pashtus. Even though the hair grows, so obviously it's getting chayis from the person. But here is meramas and a chayis metzumtzum. That's why if you cut it, it doesn't hurt. Mashenkein, in a person's face, it says chochmas adam to'er ponav. How do you know a person's wise? You know, sometimes when you look at a person, you look at a goy, you meet a dumb goy. You look at his face and you see he's a deceitful, a hateful guy. You know what I mean? You see he's dumb, and he's angry, and he's hateful. Three things you see right away in his face. Ayid, you see on his face edelkeit. You see light. You see light. There's a few stories he brings to the Gemara. The Gemara says in the Yerushalmi that Rebbe Bo came down to Tveria, so he was shining with such a face that the Yerushalmi says that the Talmidim came to Torah Yochanan that looks like he's drunk. He was like walking and smiling. I was like, yeah. They said he had a whole bottle of Glenlivet this morning. And before he even started, before he even came to Tveria, Chingahat a ganze Bottle Glenlivet. So Rabbi Yochanan said, let me go talk to him. And Rabbi Yochanan said, why is your face shining so much? So he said, I found Tosefta Chadata. I found a new Tosefta. Hori le Rabbi Yochanan, Chochmas Adam To'er Ponav. That the person's Chochma shines through in his face. When you look at a person's face, you see on a person's face his wisdom. Wow. And they give another few stories he brings in this, the Gemara says elsewhere in the Dorim, in Daf Nun Mem Tes, a whole bunch of stories. And one of them is that the Matronisa said to Rabbi Yehuda that you must be, either you eat chazer or you malva beribis. Either you eat a pig or you're so rich because your face is always smiling. So he told her it's not true because I learned Torah. When I learned Torah, it makes me feel so good that my face is always shining.
Rabbi, when my wife and myself were yechidot with the Rebbe, we couldn't look at his face. It was like fire. I put my head down. I couldn't look at his face. Okay. That's it's
a shine.
Yeah.
So the emes is that tikkun. It says that tikkun ashvi should be given tikkun adikun and tikkun ve'emes. That's called you give tikkun adikun mishach malabala baseder shtalshos lagamin shechen you give mitzerach mem takin kolab gomim. That's what in general you give mitzerachim is metakin every pgam that a yid might have done. Kimavur begeres atshuva. Como come nikre tikune dikna side is a dikna nina side who the miyoshed nina kosim amay chashabat golgolas come ifam shachas kaish bat side so they have to get some gdel sunya na tzimtzum otzim biyose that shem yacht chodem side shali agish kef klal vadugma meze yuvan lamayla therefore bisham shach bkhina side is a dikna lamayla mez mayla say the stalshos mukam ifam shacha bkhina side about shabbat tzimtzum godal nikre bisham side is schenken betikun shvi Riyud gimel tikone dikna shel tikken VM is boy nim shchum zgal oy shlo yed tzim tzabkhina societies shed mos badam lamato khelak aponim societies mvur bezoyer doid es shazen machach masadam terponov moed ponov shalad nikra khidu shalom shach kadosh khin sachach makele babo shtov ponov shmot tsapesef takadet bashin shve ponov bay fshikol kol mvur bigemod which Gemara in the Dorm Daf Memtes, and there's several stories in Gemara. Gabri Yehuda Shafila in Yehudi Hikar Boshe Panam Tzohuvi Shechach Masan Tor Panam Zem Machiluk Shemen Shach Shebesai Islam Shach Panam. Tamu Bisha Saris Shach Mamach Sheberes Gamalach Kenim Kablis Chais Mach Sheberes Vache De Zem Tzem because we go to Smekol to Mashnikle and Nigla Hodaka Saris Lavad Vachai Shebetach and Nikir Bayem Vache Gam Zesh Shemekablis Chais Gam Zen Nikla Behem Schenkel am Shocher shebeponim the Chacham Asadam Toyer Ponim very beponim nikeres akoktim. Zer ma shetiken azay nikre ve'emes. Inyan ha'emes su shein b'shinuim ke'achidu she'ilu b'tikun zeu she'en mishtana mis'alam adem shocher shegam v'yoysenim shechomer begilui v'li yishlemet zer shetiken azay nikre ve'emes. Nina ha'emes su she'en mishtana hu gam mishtat shorishe. Da'bechinu shemeben aboam shocher the tikun azay ne'ani Hashem lo shanisi. There's no shinui. So mitzad that there's no shinui. There's no shinui. That's ve'emes. Ve'emes means there's no shinui. Let's just quickly learn a little bit more. Hine api yedu shekol hagavay b'yigavay b'yos nimshach lamata mat b'yos moving tikkun ashvi tikkun ve'emes nimshach b'ikir lamata b'inyan hu hine amitzin ani Hashem lo shanisu b'atzmusa muhus yizbar Hashem atziusu atzmusa ve'in olol meiz ilo shekodem alei chaz v'sholem ke b'gilum shekodem alei ila v'sibay ein lama mitzis inyan de lo shanisu v'zeh gufa shekodem alei ila v'sibay. הרי זה שינוי, שהרי יש שינוי בין לפני שנמשכים האלה והסיבה, בין שנמשכים האלה והסיבה, ולאח שנמשכים האלה והסיבה. השן כמצמוס המאוס יסבורך, שאין אולו מאיזה אילה שקודם לחס ושלום. הרי אין בשינויים, חס ושלום, המיתס עניין דני השם לא שניסי. ועניין זה נמשך למטה. We say that everything in spiritual levels is ila va'olu. That there is one level that causes the other level to happen, like dominoes. But still, so there you have a source. So there's a shinui. There was the way you were in your source and the way you come down. But by the Eibush himself, there's zero shinui. So that's the inyan of the emes. The inyan is anim sharbikar lamata kamush mavur maran. Some tzoy zesh yesh lamata magish mitzius matzmusa magishos like kod malayila v'sibek sheshosh matzmusa mosa is barash mitzius matzmusa vein and all meizila shekod malachaz v'shalom mitzah mitzius yesh anivra yesh amiti kemavur baruch b'divin maschal mikamoicha lekavoid kedushas admar marash. Only in this world people are arrogant. In the spiritual worlds, the angels, and if you ask an angel, hey, angel, where are you coming from? He says, where I come from? I have gavoy mal gavoy shaymet. Only in this world, you ask a person, David, where are you coming from? Shiloh, where I'm coming from. I'm here. Where are you asking where I'm coming from? I am. So the arrogance in this world is only because the Eibishter himself could make this world. And just like the Eibishter, you can't ask, where did you come from? So Chas v'Shalom to ask such a question. Ani Hashem lo shanisi, and there's no ilu v'siba. So the Eibishter made that this is expressed in human beings in this world. A malach says, what do you mean where I come from? I have a source. Right. A human being says, whoa, are you asking me where I come from? I'm here. What do you mean? What's the shaila? And he says in the bracket that this mamar is one of the mamorim, the favorite mamorim that the Rebbe Marash used to say over all the time. The Rabbeim had, each Rebbe had 2-3 mamorim that he would tell over every 2-3 years to purify the ear in the world. Well, there, the last line here, skip the brackets. This the after element says the cold za mitzvah in yanalatus. Daft lamata the in yazeh. There more reshab daft lamat mazanir nigel shene the rechlocha. But there's only yedim. Shigam by los yonim ein rechl gabe atzmos. הנה אמיתיס, הנה יש אני ברמה אמיתיס יש אמיתי, עצמוס כל נשמת ישראל. שעלי דווקא להם שייך לומד יש, הם מבחינס מציס, מה שאינכן, הוא מסועל הם מבחינס מציס, כל העניינים, ורק שתפילם נשמת ישראל. מה שאומר יש אני ברמה יש אמיתי כל נשמת ישראל. למטה ששורש בעצמוס יזבורך. ומסבב שכל המצויים לא ניצו אלא מיתוס אימוצה. וזהו יסוד הסוד ועמוד החוכם. זה כל זה נשמה סם חילק לכמה מעל ממש. וידעו את הרס אבל שם תקשת הטויפס, ומיקס מן העצמת הטויפס בכול בזה, וגם מה שביועץ הנשמה למטה, היית ניתר ויל ניתר כן דנב גריסם פון גטלכkeit, הנה גם כמו שנמצא למטה, המיתוס מציוס הנרגש בו, כביוכל המיתוס המציאות בעצמוס המהוס, שמציוס ומעצמוס מן העול ומזילו שקוד מלוי. We say this, only a Jew is that way. So we'll stop at this point in the mamar. He's going to say that this is the union of the mitzvah of writing a Sefer Torah. A Yid has the koyak to bring down the tikkun ve'emes. Chazal say ein emes ela Torah. So the Yid has the power to bring down emes, which is that tikkun ashli, emes. Wow. The Yid has the power to bring it down. And every Yid has the mitzvah to write a Sefer Torah. A Yid has the power to bring it down into the world, to literally write it on ink, on a parchment. And that's the mitzvah of Ksiva Sefer Torah. We'll stop in Mitzvah Shem at this, and we'll continue in Mitzvah Shem. The Eibush Shel Halfen, just like this Sefer Torah was Nistayim in order to bring Moshiach. The Rebbe says that we did our part, and now we have to finish off whatever we have to. The Eibush Shel Halfen, we should finish off our last few things, and we should be Zoichatak with this Sefer Torah, and with all the Sefer Torah that we wrote since then, to go out and greet Mashiach Tzidkeni. Amen.
Amen.
Huh?
What's the special thing about today?
And this is really connected with Erev Shabbos, Zayin Adar, which is Yom Leida v'Yom P'tira Moshe Rabbeinu. That's when he wrote the Sefer Torah. Yeah. It's not today, it's Erev Shabbos.
Yes,
Okay. L'chaim. Thank you, Rabbi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam b'nei minim hazonos.
Amen.
So, when the person writes a Sefer Torah, he's bringing Hashem's light down here. And at what point does he elevate the Torah to a higher level?
Madriga.
Let's leave that for the end of the mamar.
Oh, okay.
Can I keep you in suspense?
Yes, of course.
Okay, thank you.
Because you said in the beginning of the mamar that we come down here so we can go up to a higher level. Thank you. That was very interesting. I can't wait till part 2.
Okay, very good. L'chaim. Yeah, we're keeping this.
Yeah.
Oh, so there's a big machlokes about this. Yeah. My great uncle, Macharon Levrachas, the meaning of Babich, and say Shasantvitz. But they asked the Rebbe, the Rebbe didn't answer. Clearly, they should ask. Today, the going meaning is
Say nothing. It's not even to say that, bro.
So today in Lubavitch, the women don't say anything. But many years ago, it was a big discussion. No, bad meaning is to say Shosanic Ritzonic. They said, but why isn't the out of the
The state by Yossi Rimlo. He lives in Amashville, across the street in the basement. He's married. From nothing, yeah.
Oh, does he know much?
Yeah, he was invited to the bar mitzvah.
What is it like for?
I'm not sure that. What's that? This is Benjamin.
Oh, you run a like for her?
Yeah.
Beautiful.
He goes to places. He talks.
Beautiful. Okay, very nice. Anyway, today Lepoel Chabad, the women don't say anything. Your wife says Shosana Kirchana or says nothing?
Yeah,
I asked her,
I asked my wife. She told me that they told her in Mesivki, say nothing.
you walk